I'm going to be starting off using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Face to lay my brows down. Now for this video, I'm going to try as much as possible to explain every step for you as detailed as I can, so you're able to get it to the T. After that, I'm going in to lay it down even further with my hands, just so it's very flat and it doesn't move around. Then I'm going to mattify using the translucent powder from Laura Mercier. I usually do this to get rid of the excess oils on my brows and the shine on my brows, as well as make my brows last longer, because if you have an oily brow and you go ahead and apply pencil, it's gonna slip off, like it's gonna clean off, and it's not gonna last as long as you would want it to. So to concealer, I'm going in with my Fenty Beauty concealer in the shade 385W. I usually use this to conceal just the arc of my eyebrows because I want that area very well highlighted. So I usually use a brighter concealer to conceal that area, and then I go into the beginning and the ends of my brows and use a darker concealer or my foundation shade, just because I don't want those areas highlighted. I just want those areas blended easily into my skin. Now once this is done, I'm just gonna go ahead and blend it from the edges of the concealer before we go inward to blend the inner part of the concealer. Now for the eyeshadow, I already prepped my base with concealer, and I'm going in with the V-Beauty blush palette. I'm going to be using this light pink shade as my transition shade. Now for your application, you want to apply this generously across the crease and focus it majorly to the outer corner of your eyes, and then take the remnant inward. So you follow that pattern and layer this about 2 to 3 times just to get the desired intensity that you want. Now notice how I focus majority of the eyeshadow to the outer corner of the eye, take it out, and then bring in the remnant to the inner part of the eye. That is how you want to apply your eyeshadow. Now I'm going in with a deeper shade from the same palette to intensify the eyeshadow on the eye. I'm just going to be applying this in the same pattern. And for this, I layered it about 5 to 6 times because I really wanted that color intensified. Now once we're done with that, we're going to go into the eyelid and use our concealer to kind of cut the crease, but not in a precise manner. I'm just doing this just to reinforce the lighter eyeshadow I'm going to apply to the eyelid, because I want that eyeshadow very visible. That's basically why I applied concealer to my eye in that manner. Now I'm going to go into the eyelid in a tapping motion. We're not rubbing this, we're not dragging this like we did on the crease. We're just tapping it onto the eyelid multiple times and layering it on until the entire lid is covered with that shade. Now once we're done with that, we're going to go back in with the blending brush we used on our crease to blend out the crease shadow and just clean out the edges of that eyelid eyeshadow we just applied, just to make it appear much more neater. We're not applying a fresh shadow to the brush, I'm just using the leftover on the brush to blend out. Now I'm going in with a white eyeshadow to give the inner corner a little pop. And mind you, I'm using the same flat brush I used on the eyelid to apply the inner corner shadow because I want it a bit muted. I want it to give more like a lighter pink shade instead of a pure white shade. That's why I did that. Now I'm going in with my liner just to give myself a wing. I specifically wanted my wing focused more to the outer corner for this look because I wanted that Bratz cat eye look. So I focused it more to the outer corner and left the inner corner of my eyes. I'm going into skin. I'm going in with the Blossom foundation. This foundation I'm trying for the very first time. It's a Nigerian brand and it just got sent to me as PR recently, so I wanted to test it out. When I applied it, it was really lightweight. That was the first thing I noticed about the foundation, and that was not quite what I was used to, so I had to apply multiple layers to build up the coverage. Now, any brush you see me using for my base is from the Morphe and Ariel sets. And for my foundation, I'm mostly focusing majority to the lower part of my face because that's the part that requires more foundation, because I'm still going to go in with concealers and bronzers to the other parts. And for my forehead, I like to apply the remnants from the brush to my forehead. I don't go in with a lot of foundation on my forehead. Now, because I wanted a full base, I'm going in with the HMB concealer in the shade SF4C. This is a super full coverage concealer. I like to use it when I want like a full glam. Now I went in to highlight the other areas of my face and left out my forehead purposely because I don't like to use the spatula to apply to my forehead, because sometimes when you do that it leaves a mark on your forehead. So let's just go in directly with my sponge as I'm doing now to just apply it there. Going into my fancy bronzer in Espresso, I'm just going to use that to bronze my cheek area. I like to apply to my nose, my chin, and to my temple as well. But for my temple, I'm not going to go in to apply so much because I have lace on. So I like to use my brush to just go directly to my temple and apply. I'm going to contour my lips as well because obviously we're giving Bratz store, so we need like a fuller lip. Now that the concealer is a bit tacky, we're going to go blend in from the edges of the concealer first. So you want to blend out from the edges because you want to maintain the area where you applied the concealer, because if you go in without blending the edges first, you're going to get the concealer all over the place, and that's not what we want. So that's why I'm blending out from the edges first before I go inward. I'm going in with my brighter concealer, the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating Concealer in medium sand. We're going to use that to brighten my under eye and apply it only to the inner corners. Now for my cream blush, I'm going in with the Patrick Tap blush in She's a Doll, because obviously we need to use a pink blush to match the look. So I'm just going in with the cream and I'm applying it upward on my cheek, and then I'm applying just the remnant to my temple just to give that cohesiveness to my makeup. I also applied some to my nose. I'm going into setting. Before we set, we're going to blend out the brighter concealer we applied, and if you notice the way I'm blending this, I'm focusing it more to the inner corner of the eyes first, where I applied the brighter concealer, and then I'm taking the remnant outward. I'm setting on the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and you want to blend out your under eye first before you go in with your setting powder, so as to avoid having creases underneath your eyes. I'm blending with my beauty sponge because I like to use like a damp sponge, because that gives more natural than using a powder puff or brush. At least to me, I prefer the finishing of using a damp sponge to set the eyes. That's why I like to use a damp sponge. I'm just going to go over every area I highlighted to set as well. Now to bake, I'm going in with the Cherry Blossom powder from Huda Beauty. This is like a pink powder kinda. And I wanted to use this powder because it brightens the under eye naturally more than the regular banana bread and all of that. So I like to use it to kind of brighten my eye. So I'm going in to use it to bake. And before you bake, always dust off the excess powder to your hand so it's smooth on the sponge before you go into the face. So it gives smooth on the face as well. I'm gonna set that cream bronzer using a powder bronzer. I'm using Juvia's Place in the shade Deep Dark to set all the areas I applied the creams. I like to focus more application to the cheek and the forehead, and then going with the remnants to the nose and the chin. Now to set my entire face, I'm going in with the MAC Studio Fix in the shade NC43. I'm mostly going to focus this to the lower part of my face because that is the area we've not set at all with any form of powder. Then the rest of the face we set with either our setting powder or our powder bronzer. So I'm going into the lower part and then focusing the remnant into the bronzer area so we don't cover up the entire bronzer. And for the brows, I'm going in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pen just to give that a light stroke, because remember we've not drawn our brows, we only concealed it. So I'm just giving like light strokes and I'm using the tip of the pen, not the body. You have to use the tip in order to get light precise strokes. Now for the lip, we're going to be doing like a light pink lip. So I'm going in with my MAC Chestnut liner. And then I'm going in with the Makeup Revolution lip gloss in Candy. This is like an OG drugstore lippy, like it never disappoints. It's so good. Then I'm topping it up with a lifter gloss from Maybelline. This is in the shade Ice 002. Now I'm gonna go set that cream blush with a powder blush from the same palette, Patrick Tar. And in the same manner I applied the creams, I'm also going to apply the powder blush upward and into the temple and the nose as well. And to layer the blush, I'm going in with a lighter shade to give you a perfect gradient look. This is really important in blush and makeup in general. I'm applying that to the inner part of the eyes just so it gives that gradient look and it looks seamless. So you know that demarcation between your blush and your under eye, that is what that brighter blush helped to eliminate. To brighten my eye, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder in the shade 2, and I'm focusing more of my brightening to the inner corner and then taking the remnants from the brush to the outer corner. Now I didn't film this part where I used a half lash because I also wanted that lift at the end of my eye and that Bratz doll look. And this is the final look, guys. What do you guys think? If you watched to this point, drop a pink heart in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.